Bonjour Watcher, this is Johnny Banger 45 and welcome back to the Book of Grisaia. Last episode, we have found Sachi and she's fainted. I think now we have entering the middle story. I'm not sure. Let's see what flavor is going to be. Mere moments after I pick up the sound of a well-tuned V8 engines approaching, a familiar yellow pricing horse pulls smoothly to the halt in front of my eyes.
お待たせ、ユージ。
At a split second, the first time we expected emergence from the driver's seat.
もうこんな時間の呼び出しに海外しく答えるのは私ぐらいのものよ。
Yeah, I do and I appreciate it. Now for a few straightforward words of thanks, JB furrows her brow. Something wrong?
皮肉を言ったつもりが真面目に返されちゃって何も言えなくなっただけよ。
My bad.
別に怒っているわけじゃないけど、この子が前に言ってたストレスを感じない子なんでしょ。
As JB speaks, she holds out a single money envelope.
しかもそれ一応部外費の資料なのよ。
Right, that's why I had to ask you, Julia.
まあ頼まれて持ってくる私も私だけど。
Thanks, I owe you for this one.
なんだかユージが素直だと調子が狂うわ。
JB shrugs her shoulders as I take the documents from her hand. It's not that I don't trust Chizuru, but I prefer to get my information from a familiar, reliable source.
それから分かっているとは思うけど、その資料には先に目を通させてもらったわよ。
Yeah, not a problem.
この学園の子たちがそれぞれに問題を抱えているのは知っていたけど、その子もいろいろあったみたいね。
Ow. I see. I was more or less expecting JB to read the document before handing them over, but judging from her vague language, it seems there was indeed something fairly dramatic inside.
これは純粋にあなたを知る友人として聞くけど、その子が抱える問題を知ってどうするつもりなの？
Don't know yet, but
でも
if there's something I can do for her after reading this, I think I will. JB answered my words with a searching gaze, her expression unusually serious. I stared steadily back into her eyes. For a moment, there is a silence between us.
そう。あなたがそう考えているなら、私は何も言わないわ。
You're not opposed of the idea?
私にあなたのプライベートまで奪う権利はないし、そこまで言うからには、それなりの理由があるんでしょ？
In other words, you trust me.
そうね。これでもあなたのことはよく知ってるつもりよ。何せ私はあなたの友人であり、上司であり、保護者なんだから。
True enough. With my master as my older sister, that JB is without doubt the foremost living authority on the subject of me.
ただ一つだけ釘を刺させてもらうけど、あなたがこれから何をするにしても、仕事は今まで通りこなしてもらうわよ。
Yeah, of course. That was the plan.
その言葉が聞けて安心したわ。今は予備役扱いとはいえ、あなたを頼りにしている人間はたくさんいるんだから。
Apparently satisfied, JB gives me a friendly thumb on the shoulders as she passed by.
それじゃあ、私はそろそろ戻るわね。
Bye. I appreciate the help, JB.
感謝の気持ちを表すなら、今度高級イタリアンでもご馳走してちょうだい。
Returning to her usual playful tongue, JB deftly brushes a loose line of her thick golden hair into place, then steps back into her car. Very loud, that car. Yeah, I make a note. As the frantic horse grows smaller in the distance, I mutter my orally to myself. After the carriage took out, I sit down near my bench and examine the contents of the envelope JB handed me. Huh. At a glance, it's 6 pages filled with text almost certainly printed from a personal computer. So now I got my hands on Sachi's parts. Oh my! What's more, I managed to obtain it quietly from a source with absolute no connection to these events. For JB, it was probably a simple job involving nothing more challenging than a few minutes of database crawling on a neglected terminal. But this way, if and how I make use of this information is completely up to me. Sachan. When I opened my eyes, I staring up at the unfamiliar ceiling. Oh, now it's Sachi turn.
ここは
The lightings are off and there is only fainted illumination following in from the shadow. Whereas my eyes close and scuffs into the darkness, it doesn't take long for me to realize that I'm in a hospital.
そうか。私、公園で気を失って。
Kazami-san must have carried me here afterward. And judging from the tuna fishman figurine standing watching at my bedside, Makina and others paid me a visit.
風見さんは、ゆうくん。
Kazami-san and I played together as a children. For a time, he was a very dear friend to me. I realized as much some time ago, but I don't believe that knowledge prompted any dramatic change inside me. Therefore, I had assumed the same was true for Kazami-san, that he had realized the truth long ago and simply decided to keep things as they were. But in reality, he never associated me with the girl he knew back then. To him, the usual place was something else entirely. The thoughts make my heart ache. For some reason, when I close my eyes, I see Kazami's soulfully face looking down at me in the playground. And as I remember that moment, the vice grips of my chest grows gradually tighter.
おかしいな。
This is a trouble sound.
私、もう悪い子じゃないはずなのに。みんなの言うことを聞く、いい子でいれば、ここが痛くなることもないって思ってたのに。
Don't tell me. In a bad ending, she killed Yuji. I don't know. Let's just... I don't know if this is a real spoiler or not, but let's just play. Because they are into... Where Makina and Sachi, I think the main hero, the Yuji will die in the bad ending. While in Amane's roof, she died. Yes. As I thought, the more I think, the more sluggish I feel. As I thought, a heavy weight is pressing down onto my body. Thank goodness I'm alone. If someone else had been here, I'm not sure I could have been my normal self for them. Oh, that's her real self. Damn son, if someone else had been here, I'm not sure I could have been my normal self for them. After all, I'm currently incapable of something as simple as reaching over to turn on the lights. Soon enough, my physical discomfort is accompanied by a building sense of panic inexpressible in words. A horrible choking sensation crawls slowly but steadily up my throat. Don't tell me. As I moist and cold, my hands frantically clutch at the blanket draped over my body. I squeeze my eyes tightly closed and I attempt to shut it down reality. It's no good. The harder I try to repress the memories, the more clearly it rises to the surface. I know that it's the cause of my pain, but I simply can't escape the image. Perhaps it's because I'm weaker than usual after my long wait in the rain. Even as I winch at the first throbbing start of a sudden headache and overwhelming weariness washes over my body, just keeping my eyes open seems unbearably burdensome. My field of vision grows narrow as my eyes is fall halfway closed. I can faintly hear the sound of my clenched teeth rattling in my mouth. Clenched teeth. It feels as if the temperature of the room has plunged to the point that I almost expect my brain to form a white cloud before my eyes. I roughly gasp for air, panting like a dog, helplessly enjoys the unceasing waves of pain. What's wrong? Eventually it becomes difficult to tell whether my eyes are open or shut as my physical agony reaches its climax is joined by the unfathomably pronounced sense of loss. My tremulous hands squeeze outwards, seeking reassurance that my head hasn't simply been looked off at the neck. It's alright, that couldn't possibly have happened. I understand that rationally, but the delusion is so vivid that I can't bring myself to lower my hands. Post-trauma stress disorder. What? Finally! Post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD. As a child, when I first suffered this symptom, the doctor who examined me dispassionately offered that diagnosis. Severe mental illness brought on by violent wounds to the mind, leading to a persistent range of stress-related impediments. I researched the disorder and its symptoms in great detail over the years from every source I could find. Among the many symptoms, the one I truly fear is clinically referred to as the recurrent involuntary memory, more commonly known as the flashback. If I curl my bodies into a tight ball like this, I can induce the pain and exhaustion somehow. But the worst of the suffering is yet to come. As I begin to imagine that moment, tears flood out of my eyes as I shake my head from side to side like a spoiled child throwing a temper tantrum. Lukewarm drools dribbles out of my gaping mouth as I rackle by dry hips. At some point, my groans gives way to convulsive sobs. This is how it always happened. After enduring the pain, I see the dream. The memories I have tried so hard to forget force their way into my mind, still vivid and clear after all this time. The profound darkness buried deep inside by my own cautious efforts, pushing its way back to the surface. Let me guess. Sachi lost her control of herself and then killed Yuji because they want to be together. Something like that, I guess. How many times have I seen this dream since that day? The mere idea of trying to guard seems rather ridiculous by now. I'll never escape this nightmare, will I? Never. It will be with me for all eternity. And the nightmare begins, as always, with two words.
Sachi. Dousete?
Who said that? Oh, flashback time. A flashback time. Yes, we have entered to the middle part, I guess. Wow, what a beautiful couple. See that hair? And also that hair. The workshop was constantly filled with the clamor of industrial machines, but when I shout out a greeting, my parents never failed to put their work and answer. My gentle mother, who always smiles like freshly dry laundry, and my smiling father, whose face was constantly smeared with grease and oil. I love them both very much. My earliest memories from the days before I entered elementary schools are all wonderful happy. My dad was a metal worker and engineer from Niigata, and my mom was born into a family that operates a small precious manufacturing workshop in Kanagawa. About 20 years ago, they met at a technology fair and fell in love, so enough they started out a little factory of their own on the outskirts of this small city. I was born shortly thereafter, completely an intimate little family of three.
あなた、どうしましょう。サチが泣き止まないわ。
熱もあるみたいだし、すぐに病院へ連れて行こう。
でも、夕方までに納品の仕事がまだ。
そんなのは後で頭を下げればなんとかなる。それより、サチの命の方が大事だ。
Yes, of course.
はい。
The oldest place at the freshly established worker tend to be a small scale, and the strike record crew have been called excellent even as a polite factory. The primary cause my parents prioritized their newborn child support on frequently missing important deadlines for my sake. But despite their inconsistent job performance, their character won respect and affection. Our young family was able to get thanks to the support of others. Something happened later, I guess.
ねえねえお母さん、お買い物一緒に行こう。
Oh, I see. Family affection.
そうね。そろそろお夕飯の準備もしないといけないんだけど。
So that's why their parents busy with works.
ああ、仕事の方は心配しないでいいから、二人で行ってくるといい。
すみません、あなた。
いいさ。どうせもうすぐ片付くしね。
じゃあお父さんの好きなおビールも買ってくる。
ありがとう、サチ。
Even once I got a little bigger, I still spent lots of time with my parents. Especially in the evenings, I always pull my mom's hands and begged to go shopping with me.
サチは今日何が食べたい？
卵ふりかけ。
ふりかけじゃなくて、ハンバーグとかすき焼きとか、もっと好きなものを言っていいのよ。
じゃあね、サメさん。
サメさんはちょっと。
サメさん食べられない？
そうね。 サチはサメが好きなのは知ってるけど、できれば別のものにしてほしいかな。
それならサチ、タコさんウインナーがいい。
ごめんね、サチ。
どうしてお母さんが謝るの？サチ、お母さんが作ってくれる目玉焼きとタコさんが一番大好きだよ。
ありがとう。私もサチのことが大好きよ。
I got curious. Why she put dot 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 dot?
あらさっちゃん、今日もお母さんと一緒でいいわね。
Thinking back on it now, our hostel was definitely on the poor side. You could count on one hand on the number of times per year a real treat of a mere glance of a dinner table. But mom's cooking was always delicious, always, and more importantly, I loved the feeling of her soft, warm hand wrapping around mine. Fortunately, the adults around us watched over our family with warm gazes and small acts of kindness.
じゃあこいつはサービスだ。
いつもすみません。
いやいや、うちも駅向こうにできたスーパーのせいで大変なんだが、小峰さんには変わらずひいきにしてもらってるからね。
ありがとうございます。
おじさん、いつもおまけしてくれてありがとう。
お、その年でちゃんとお礼が言えれた。偉いね、さっちゃんは。よーし、それならおじさん、唐揚げ用のお肉もサービスしちゃおう。
本当にすみません。
こりゃ後でかみさんに怒られちまうかもな。
あなた、今日も一日お疲れ様です。
あ、お前もお疲れ様。
お疲れ様。
Surrounded by mom's cooking, we thank each other into our daily labors as dad tilted his beer glasses. Oh, I think something happened to their parents later. One of them, I guess. And then one of them, after one of them injured, then they were facing a financial problem. I think. Just watch. When the dishes in front of us were about half gone and the glass sat empty in front of him, Dad would always sit back in his chair and start to tell me a story.
なあサチ、
聞いたことない。
Etching.
あなた、サチはまだ5歳ですよ。今からそんなことを知っている方がおかしいわ。
そうかな。俺がサチくらいの頃には親父の仕事場に潜り込んでは勝手に機械をいじってたもんだったわ。
だってサチ、工場の機械を触ってるよりもお人形さんと遊んでる方が楽しいもん。
I like playing with dolls. Of course, you are a woman.
やっぱりそうか。サチは女の子だもんな。
サチは大きくなったらお母さんみたいなお母さんになるの。
サチ。
おお、サチは嬉しいこと言ってくれるな。じゃあおもちゃのお人形さんを作っていたお父さんの親戚の家の話をしてあげよう。
お人形さんの話だったらサチ聞きたい。
Their stories were almost always connected to his job somehow. Even so, it was fun to hear about new things, and I was in awe of him for knowing all that super complicated stuff. But what always impressed me more than anything else was his amazing handiness.
お父さん、この時計電池を変えても動かないの。
どれどれ。通電してないみたいだな。配線のハンダ付けがいい加減だったんだろう。
時計また動くようになる？
あ、これくらいならすぐに治るぞ。
お父さんすごい。
He is a metal worker.
壊れた時計くらいならお母さんの機嫌を直すより簡単さ。
Dad loved playing with machines for a very young age, so he could repair almost anything. Because of that, the things we bought tend to last much longer than they would normally, and I always thought of him as some kind of wizard.
ねえねえ、お父さん、それ何？
Nani?
ああ、これはオルゴールって言うんだ。
オルゴール？
この箱を開けるとね、音が鳴るような仕掛けになっているの。 サチはオルゴールを見るの初めてだったかしら？
それにね、なんだかすごく素敵な音がした。
あら、サチは素敵なんて言葉よく知っていたわね。
Sachi knows too many powerful words.
昨日見たテレビで言ってたの。
なるほど。それでサチはこの曲のことを素敵だなって思ってくれたのね。
とっても綺麗な音だった。
そう。サチがそう言ってくれるとお母さん嬉しいわ。
どうして？
このオルゴールに入っている曲はね、お父さんとお母さんの結婚式で流した思い出の曲なんだ。
結婚式？
そうね。好きな人と幸せになるためにする約束みたいなもののことよ。
A promise. Oh my.
幸せ。
幸せっていう字はね、サチの名前と同じ字を書くの。
そうなの？
そう。だからサチも大きくなったら好きな人と結婚して、きっと幸せになれるわよ。
Let me guess. The true ending, Sachi married with Yuji, and then something like that. But I don't think we can do that because
そっか。じゃあサチも大きくなったらお父さんとお母さんと結婚する。
I don't think you should say that, Sachi.
お母さん、うちにボイスレコーダーはあったかな？
Look, their face feels some stiff.
もう、何言ってるんですか、あなたは。
お父さんはサチと結婚したら嬉しい？
ああ、嬉しすぎて、サチのことがもっともっと好きになっちゃうな。
Why you lie to a kid, Dad?
でも、好きな人と結婚するためには、サチがもっと大きくならなくっちゃね。
サチ、もっと大きくなれるようにたくさん牛乳飲む。
From that day on, the sound that music became family part of my life. The gentle melody accompanied our family gatherings feel almost like a symbol of happiness itself. I always understood that Dad loved me just as much as Mom, although he was often busy with work. And since I happened to love him very much, I had a habit of begging him to play with me on the weekends.
ねえねえ、お父さん、お外に遊びに行こう。
I think this is for Sachi team.
おお、サチはいつも元気だな。
日曜日はね、お外でお父さんと遊ぶ日って決めてるの。
そうか。
だからお父さんも一緒に遊ばないとダメなんだよ。
そうだな。じゃあ今日はお父さんと公園でキャッチボールをしようか。
Don't tell me you left her at the park by herself later
キ
on.
ャッチボール？
よーし、いいぞ。そしたらここにめがけてそのボールを投げるんだ。
ボールを投げ。
おお、うまいじゃないかサチ。初めてでここまでできるなんてすごいぞ。
I think somehow her dad is beginning to dislike her.
本当？
ああ、お父さんは運動ダメだったけど、そういうところはお母さんに似てくれてよかったよ。
I think that's probably wanted a boy. Oh, damn! Not that he ever came out and admitted it, of course. But when he watched me tossing a ball around and playing soccer, his eyes were livelier than usual. Once I got out, I started begging him to play with me on every weekdays, eager to see the happy expression on his face. But of course, Dad had his work to take care of, so he couldn't tag along every time. As a result, I sometimes had too much time on my hands. One particular dark morning, I decided on the total ways to imitate Mom and clean the work off the floor. Oh no, I got a bad feeling about this. Then she screwed up and then boom. And when I did,
あらサチ、ほうきなんか持って何してるの？
お掃除だよ。
偉いじゃない、サチ。進んでお 手伝いをしてくれるなんてお母さんとっても嬉しいわ。ねえ聞いて、あなたサチが工場を掃除してくれていたのよ。
何？本当か？
And he stopped his work. What the hell?
ええ、あなたもこっちに来てサチのことを褒めてあげてください。
No wonder Sachi loved to be praised. As my parents showed me compliments, almost like I brought home with the first month of vacation I draw in the kindergarten, I blushed with joy. The initial reaction was surprising enough, but after work that day, both dad and mom came outside to play with me.
お母さん、こっちこっち。
あら、サチもいつの間にかそんなに速く走れるようになっていたのね。
それより2人とも少しは手加減してくれ。こっちの体力が持たないよ。
だね、今日はサチ、お母さんと一緒にお父さんをやっつけるんだもん。
そうね、そうしましょうか。
おいおい、勘弁してくれよ。
We laughed and played until evening came. For one day, the machine sat silent in the workshop. In exchange, our house was filled with the resounding melody of the music box, and for that shining moment, I was left with a powerful new conviction. It makes mommy and daddy happy when I clean up. If I do it again, they will play with me more. Motivated by that simple thought, I began to clean the workshop in our house whenever I had time.
ほら、お父さん、お母さん、お仕事はもう終わったんだから一緒に遊ぼう。
わかったわかった。もうすぐ片付くから、せめて着替える時間くらいは待ってくれよ、サチ。
I see. In other words, she forced their parents when their parents very tired from work. She said, "We are tired. Don't play with us, Sachi. We don't want to play with you."
ダメだよ、早くしないと砂場が他の人に占領されちゃうんだから。
もうサチったら。
And sure enough, whenever I cleaned up for them, my parents will emerge from the workbox with resigned smiles on their face. After witnessing that same scene plays out countless times, I sure they never would have been down as like a spoiled little tomboy. Not that I noticed at that time, I saw God in every precious moment. Back then, my world consisted of nothing but the things before my eyes, the places my short legs could carry me, and it was more than enough. But eventually, my way of thinking did undergo a clear change. That day, a little while into my first year of elementary school, I proudly brought home my first perfect test.
すごい、本当に100点だわ。
Very speechless.
ちょっとあなた、ちゃんと聞いてます？
ああ、すまない。あまりの驚きで思わず呼吸が止まってしまっていたよ。
いくらなんでもそれは驚きすぎですよ。
そうだよ、お父さん。
いやいや、決してそんなことはないぞ。お父さんも何度か100点は取ったことがあるが、算数のテストで取ったことはなかった。サチは運動神経がいいだけじゃなくて頭もいいんだな。
そうね、今日はサチが初めて100点を取ったお祝いに腕によりをかけてごちそうを作らないと。
本当？やったー！
At the time, I was a very simple person. Being praised makes me happy. When I do well on tests, mom and dad are really nice. And the food at dinner gets better too. In that case, I'm gonna get good scores every time. Having reached that conclusion, I shift my efforts to my studies. I always listen carefully in school and home. I voluntarily head off my desk and pore over my books.
今度は社会科のテストで100点か。
クラスで100点を取れたのは私だけだって先生も褒めてくれたよ。
最近はうちでも勉強を頑張っているみたいだし、学期末にもらえる通知表が楽しみね。
Is she really that brilliant? How come she ended up in that school? You guys wondering? The harder I tried, the more my parents complimented me. The more effort I put in, the wider the smile on their faces. That was all there to be. But as simple as I was, that was enough. That was more than enough to motivate me. As I focused on that clear objective, my grades soared with astonishing sweetness. I wish my brain is like Sachi. But one day changed.
はい。今日はサチが全部4以上の通知表をもらってきたお祝いよ。
手巻き寿司だ。
サチは最近頑張ってくれているから、その分私たちもお返ししなくちゃね。
お返し？
そうだぞ。何かのために努力するってことは口で言うほど簡単じゃない。だからそれができたサチのことを褒めるのは当然のことなんだ。
That was reward.
そっか。
あ、今回はサチが頑張ったご褒美にお父さんが何でも買ってあげるぞ。
何でもなんて言ってしまっていいんですか？
She will buy something unexpected thing. She will want something.
たまにはいいさ。ほら、何でもいいから言ってごらん、サチ。
What do you want?
欲しいものはあんまりないかも。
え？
お父さんとお母さんに褒めてもらえてお寿司が食べられるならもう何もいらないよ。
サチ。
Those were my true feelings. Of course, sometimes I did look at the pretty new clothes of my friends' wall and feel a little envious. And I sort of wanted to visit those fancy amusement parks they talk about on TV too. But when I went home after school, mom and dad were always waiting. The music box played its beautiful song in the background, and the people I love had smiles on their face. That was more than enough for me. What just happened? Did my game stuck? Hello? Hello? Game? Did the game stuck? No? There's no button to press. The game stuck. Let me press. Okay. Oh, it's loading. Yes, it is loading. One day, word got out that Dad's family had received a contract for grinding lands that would be used on space shuttle, leading to media interest and a TV interview. That means no more Dad. We contribute integral metal that were now valuable manufactured assets. With the sudden burst of publicity, a few major orders started tickling down on our workshop as well. Dad had always been scared, and now he has the chance to prove it. In the blink of an eye, rumors were spreading about the high quality precision dies our workshop produced. Before we knew it, our little branch of the business was flooded with more orders than even his parents' workshop. A year or so after these events, my life had changed dramatically. Okay, now we see something happening. On the dinner table, a gorgeous meal was waiting for me, but the clouds of steam that proved the food was freshly made were missing. The pencils I used to wear down to the nose had all been replaced with new pens, but I no longer heard Dad's encouraging words at my side as I studied. I could wear all sorts of brand new clothes, but Mom's didn't sew sharks applicants onto my dresses anymore. Among all this, what hurt most was the simplest change of all. I no longer spend much time with my parents. Producing metals dyes is precious manufacturing required both high technical knowledge and natural skills. It was extremely difficult to find qualified new employees for such a small business. Dealing with the workloads that had been suddenly doubled with the same number of people as before, there was no choice but to increase working hours proportionally. Yeah, I figured they'll become workaholic. The amount of time Mom and Dad spent in the house became extremely limited, and the amount of time I spent alone grew dramatically. Even so, I wanted their attention just apparently as before. Sometimes I would sit up waiting, rubbing my drowsy eyes until the machines finally fell quiet.
お疲れ様、お父さん、お母さん。
ああ、サチか。
こんな時間まで起きていたの？
どうしてもお父さんとお母さんに見てもらいたいものがあったの。
I think their parents might have said something to her.
見てもらいたいもの？
ほら見て、今日は初めて理科のテストで100点を取ったんだよ。
おお、そうか。偉いな、サチは。
おめでとう、サチ。
Why? What happened to you too? And when I did, my parents would still listen to what I had to say. But even then, they didn't smile like before. Their faces were always lined with exhaustion, their eyes dull. I knew they were busy because their family has been on TV. I would have it tough out a little longer and things would be back to normal. I did my best to believe that I would wait as patiently as I could for my parents to get less busy. But rather than diminishing it, the work kept pouring steadily. Even after 3 months and half a year, the situation didn't improve in the slightest. In fact, things eventually got so frantic that my parents hired a housekeeper to look after things. She cooked and took care of the laundry in Mom's place. She accepted the hands-out I brought home. When there was a parents' night at school, she was the one who showed up. The housekeeper was a diligent person who took her job seriously, and she was always nice to me. But that wasn't enough. For some reason, I never felt particularly happy when the housekeeper patted my head gently and praised my achievements. So one day, I took advantage of a brief pause in the feverish activities in my parents' workshop. I rushed up to the moms and tried to show off my latest test.
ごめんね、サチ。お母さん、これから取引先の会社さんに行かないといけないの。
Yes, figure, family, and attention.
何時になったら
多分、とても遅くなるから、また今度ね。
せっかく苦手だった国語のテストで100点を取ったのに。
My worst subject, 100. For the first time, I couldn't get her to even glance at the paper. I still remember the shock and anger I felt. Crumpling the test into a ball, I threw it into a trash can. What? Why you do that? Don't throw your anger. And on the night I turned 9 years old, neither mom nor dad were waiting for me. Instead, I was greeted by a feast our housekeeper had prepared and a pile of presents stacked out on the table. But I didn't have the slightest interest in the food in front of me, much less the colorfully wrapped box. You must eat. Wait, what just happened? The only thing on my mind was conveying that simple truth of my parents, and so I sat and waited. Even when the clock tickled past 9 and our housekeeper headed home, even when unfamiliar shows started to appear on the television which I left it on so I could hear the sound of human voices, I didn't budge. And a little after the hour's hand on the clock creeps past 11, the clamor of the machines finally came to a stop.
これで明日までには納品できるだろう。
でも、すぐに次の仕事にかからないと。
そうだな。ってサチ。
もしかして私たちの仕事が終わるのを待っていてくれたの？
そうか。それは悪いことをしたな。おお、そうだ。遅くなってしまったけど、9歳の誕生日おめでと
う。おめでとう、サチ。最近サチには寂しい思いをさせてしまったから、プレゼントも大奮発したのよ。どうしたの？サチ、お腹でも痛くなった？
よく見たらご飯も全然食べていないじゃないか。
いらない。プレゼントもごちそうもいらない。だから一人でステーキを食べるより、機械の音が聞こえないお家でみんな一緒にカレーが食べたい。
Before I knew it, the words had slipped out of my mouth and tears were running down my cheeks. Those were the words I kept shut away tightly inside ever since the workshop got busy with my honest, selfish feelings. For the first time in a while, I was spoiled little girls again. As soon as the words left my mouth, my parents' eyes opened wide with surprise. When that shock gave way to awkward, troubled expression, I realized the mistake I just made. I just said something really mean to mom and dad. The instant I understood how selfishly my words had been, my heart started to throb painfully in my chest. I stood up from the tables and ran from the room, trying to escape the sudden wave of guilt. Dashing to the room, I barely died to sit and cry my eyes out. I was angry at my parents who couldn't spare a single night for me, even on my birthday. I was angry at myself for being cruel to my exhausted parents who were being forced to work by circumstances and beyond their controls. Tortured by this jump of mischief into intense emotions, I cried into my pillows until morning came. That was my ninth birthday. After that miserable day, I decided to change my way of thinking and start fresh. Maybe finally saying what I kept locked inside helped. Maybe all the crying got all the poison out of my system. Either way, I found a new conviction of clinching. If what I've been doing is enough, I just had to try even harder. Not merely devoting myself to studies, I began actively volunteering for class representation and other student government duties. I threw myself to anything that seems like it might put smiles on my parents' face, even learning to play that musical box they loved so much. Probably because of that broad spirited effort, my result of the school was so high that I broke the top 10 list for our year. Grades other than A disappeared from my report card entirely, and the comments were incredibly filled with effusive praise about how I became an example for the other student. But even then,
お父さん、今日は終業式だったから通知表もらってきたよ。
おお、もうそんな季節か。
それでね、今回は私評価の数字が全部5だったの。
じゃあこの仕事が終わったらじっくり見せてもらうから。もう
can we wait a little longer?
もういい。
Sachi, why? In the end, nothing changed. Even when I brought home a straight A report card for the first time, Mom and Dad didn't pay attention to me like they used to. If the best possible results were going up, it could only mean that my parents had started to hate me. No matter how good my grades got, it wouldn't make them start loving me again. They were probably working really hard on their job so they could get enough money to run away together. Run away where? The more I thought, the more dejected I felt. Why did I even bother to try so hard all the time? Before I knew it, my legs had carried me to the neighborhood parks where we once played together as a family.
ここは何も変わらない。
And this is the moment where you met
真
Yuji.
ん中にある丸いベンチも、テントウムシの横にある砂場もずっと同じ。
But I might never be able to play there again, not like I had before. I'm the saddest kid in the world, abandoned by my own parents. It was only a few moments after I convicted myself of this that I noticed the mysterious boy. Oh, Yuji-kun! Wow! He looks very handsome. No wonder Sachi was envious with this boy. Alright now, as usual, I'm going to save my game now. Thank you for watching my video. Wait.
セーブするわ。
My video are just for fun. Don't take heart, brothers and sisters. Crazy apple, eh? Magic word time. Adios e famosa.